Hey, what's up, sweetheart?
Hey, babe.
Are you ready for today?
I am ready.
I am excited for what we're going to be sharing with the people today. Today, we're not just going to be talking to married people, and you know
Uh-huh.
we love to do
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking to the single people. All my single ladies say,
Ooh.
hey. Fellas say ho. If you're out there and you are not married, today is for you. Welcome to Doing Life with Ken and Tabitha. I'm Ken.
I'm Tabitha.
And we have been best friends now for 21 years. We've
Yeah.
actually been married for 23 years. The first 2 years was absolutely horrible, but we're doing a whole lot better now.
We are.
And we have this podcast and show to help you grow closer to in your relationship with God, your closer in your relationship with each other and whoever is in your life. And we want to share with you the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups and the downs. And that's why it's called Doing Life with Us. And so hopefully we can share some things with you today that you can take and apply to your life and make it a whole lot better.
Absolutely.
You ready for it?
I'm ready. It's going to be good.
All right. I want to start with this thought in mind. Okay. First off, what you been thinking about?
Like lately or now or like.
I'm just playing. I'm trying to see if you're on your toes today. I had a thought a couple of weeks ago, and it was about single people. And you know how many single people are believing for a spouse. And so today the segment is entitled "How to Believe God for a Spouse."
Interesting.
Yeah, how to believe God. If you're a lady, how to believe God for your Boaz. If you're a man, how to believe God for your Proverbs 31 woman. That's what today is.
Okay.
So if you are a single, this is for you. If you ever want to be married, now you don't have to be married, right?
Right.
To be a single. Paul was a successful single. Jesus was a successful single. You can be about the work of the Lord, 1 Corinthians chapter 7. But if you want to be married, you need to know how to believe God for a spouse. I had this thought a couple of weeks ago. Did you want to jump in?
No, finish your thought.
Okay. I had this thought a couple of weeks ago, and it was about these lists that a lot of people have.
Oh, wow.
And they have a list where they're saying, well, I'm believing God for this in a mate. And I think the list is good, but I hear people saying, well, let's just take it from a woman's perspective. I want him to be 6'1". I want him to have, I want him to be tall, dark, and handsome. I want him to be educated. He has to at least have a bachelor's degree. I want somebody who's making 6 figures. I want somebody who has some vision for their life. And I also want them to love God and open up doors for me and get along with my mom and my dad. I mean, we got all these things on the list. And a couple of weeks ago, I had this thought, and I really believe it was God. And it was him kind of showing me that that is not the right foundation for marriage. Because a list of what you want your husband to be or what you want your wife to be is all about what you want. But marriage is not about what you want. It's about what you're going to do to serve the person that God brings into your life. Okay,
Wow.
let me give you the other side. Nobody has a list of what kind of wife I want to be when my husband shows up. Nobody has a list of what kind of husband I want to be when my wife shows up. Like,
Right.
God, I want to have this kind of character.
Right.
God, I want to have this kind of integrity. God, I need to work on my submitted heart. I need to work right now on my love. I need to work right now on my communication. So when God puts nobody has a list of the things that they need to do in their life. They just have a list of what they want. And what I
Wow.
found out just thinking about marriages, and we see some successful marriages, and we also see some really busted ones.
Right.
And the busted marriages that we see are founded in selfishness. And when I think about this list, not that it's wrong, because there are some people that have a list.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like my thoughts go like, there's people who have lists and, they get what they want on their list.
Okay,
Like
talk to me about that.
It's a point of faith. It's just like, their faith board, their vision board. Okay, this is my spouse. This is what I want them to. I mean, you have not because you ask not. Maybe some of those principles, and God gives you the desires of your heart, kind of thing.
Okay.
And, they have a
Well,
they have a faith board and
well, I
believe
think-
God for it.
Did you have a list?
I didn't.
But-
I think if
Because you wasn't saved
but I would
back
have.
then, but you did have something that you were looking for.
I did. I had a type.
You had a type.
Yes.
What was your type?
What
was your type?
Why do I feel like I'm on the
'Cause
stand
I'm just
here?
saying,
Like,
what was your type?
my type was tall,
Uh-huh.
dark skin, bald head.
This ain't got nothing to do with me. Think about it. I'm short. I'm 5'9", light skinned, and don't have a bald head. Thank God I ain't got no bald head. I got a bunch of curly
I
hair.
know. I your
So if you would have went
girls.
to God, I don't care what scripture you're standing on. God, give me the desires of my heart. If I have not, because I ask not. All of his promises are yes and amen.
You're
He
so
watches over his word to
right.
perform it. All I got to do is ask and knock, and it shall be open unto me. And I want him to be tall, dark, and handsome. And he shows you me. You would think that, no, that can't be the one.
Right.
Because that's not what I'm believing God
Right.
for. But honestly, God knows what you need more than you know
You
what you
better
need.
say it. Yes.
Because you needed something that was 5'9" and cinnamon with hazel eyes. Come on,
Curly
somebody. Yeah.
hair and nice
Yeah, that's
teeth.
right.
Come
And then
on.
when I showed up, you're like, all of a sudden, you're like, I like that type. You didn't even know you like that type. Isn't that interesting? Think about that for a moment. There's a whole lot of single people that they have a type. Well,
You're
I'm just
right.
not attracted to so-and-so. I don't like that type.
Right.
But I'm thinking if you want to be married, maybe you should just say, God, let me like whatever you bring into my life.
Absolutely.
Could that be a thought? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, because God knows you better than you know yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's not that you can't have a list. Maybe, it's nice to have, things that you like physical characteristics,
Yeah.
but maybe we should be focusing more on not physical characteristics, but values and, character,
Attributes.
integrity.
Yeah.
Excellence, like those kinds of things. I don't
Come
know.
on,
Maybe that
keep it
makes a
real.
better list.
People's list ain't that. People's list is like, I want him to have a 9-pack. I want her to be hourglass shaped, and she got to be 32, 22, or how, you know what I'm saying? I want him to drive this kind of car.
I
need him to
mean-
have this job.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
I'm not saying that everybody's list is, nor am I trying to throw out your list.
Exactly.
I've always been very detailed in to say, hey, God, this is what I'm believing for, because I believe it's up to man plans, but it's God that directs our path.
Right.
But if you don't understand that you have a plan, that God sometimes will scrap it and rework it and do something better, then you'll always kind of pigeonhole yourself and like, but I thought it was going to be like this. And I think real faith is palms up saying, nevertheless, Lord, I trust you.
Absolutely.
So this podcast is not saying, hey, don't have a list.
Absolutely.
It's just saying to hold your list maybe looser.
Yeah.
Because we don't want your list just to be founded off of selfishness. Well, I want him to look like this. I want him to do this for me. I want him to be able to cook, instead of saying, what can I be for that person?
Absolutely.
And here's the truth. And this is the principle that I really want to teach right from the beginning today. Because when I see successful marriages, I'm seeing them have the foundation of selflessness. Where, listen, when the two becomes one, two people have to die so that the new thing can live. And so Ken had to die, Tabitha had to die so that Ken and Tabitha could live. And there are way too many people that it's almost like, well, I just feel like I'm not getting my needs met, and I just feel like I would rather be single. But isn't the old you dead?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost like you want to leave your relationship because you don't get what you want, how you want it, when you want it, and you feel unfulfilled. That's the epitome of a bad marriage. And you're going to carry that selfish attitude into every business adventure and every relationship that God brings into your life, until you finally realize that the agape love of God is not about people serving you. It's about you serving somebody else.
Absolutely.
And if we were honest, aren't good marriages founded on that? Humility, serving one another, loving one another. I'm doing for you as you're doing for me. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, being selfless in marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always putting the other person first. Yeah. I love the analogy you did of like dying to, like you die to yourself.
That's why marriage is
to your own pleasures.
They haven't died yet. That's like the person who's walking with Jesus, but they want to bring their old lifestyle into their new walk with Christ. I don't know if it's their old mindset, their old behaviors, their old addictions, their old sexuality. And they say, but still, I love Jesus. But here's the thing. When you said yes to Jesus, you were supposed to die so that he could live. You were supposed to die so that the greater one can live. When the two become one, the two have to die so that the team can live. So now it's all about Team Clater. So it's not about, well, I need my education, I want my money, and I wanted to do this. Now it's about what we want to do. It's all based upon selflessness, not selfishness.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is just to go back to your list and reconsider. And maybe you should make a list and say, hey, I want to be able to serve my spouse in this way. I want to be able to honor my spouse. I want God to develop this kind of faithfulness in me. I want God to give me a revelation of what it means to be in covenant relationships. I want to understand what what it means, mutual submission. I want to understand what a soft answer is that turns away wrath.
Yeah.
I want to have a love for God. And I believe that all marriages can succeed if we have the right foundation.
Wow.
You get it?
Yes, it's so good.
I kind of want to jump into this whole piece today of some things that we can do to really help people believe God for a spouse. And I wrote down a few, and you can jump in with me. Number one, I think we need to ask him for it.
Ask God for a spouse.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to let the fire truck go by, but ask him for it.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is again.
Bless him, Lord. In Jesus' name, we speak life.
Yeah, ask him for it.
Ask
okay?
him for it.
So let's start right there. You are single, all right? How many of you all are single, all right? How many of you all want to be married one day or married again? The first thing that you need to do is you need to ask God. Don't try to just do it on a dating app. Don't try to do it with somebody from church or somebody you work hooking you up, sending you on a blind date. You need God to get involved. And the Bible says you have not because you ask not.
Yeah. And I asked God for you. I didn't know it was you at the moment, but I asked God for someone to love me. And I wasn't saved at the moment. It was maybe a few months before I met you, actually. I was in college.
What year? Do you remember?
Oh, maybe 1997.
1997.
Because it turned 1998 in the new year, my birthday, when I met you.
Yeah.
So it was like December 1997. I was in college. All of my roommates left, and like the whole university left to go home to their families. I didn't go home to my family yet. Maybe till the last minute. I was just waiting. So I was there alone. And I remember being really sad, depressed, literally in my bed and feeling alone and just asking God, just send me someone who would love me. And that's all I remember. And it's weird because I wasn't saved. I didn't really understand the whole Jesus and God thing.
So you're saying that you wasn't saved yet.
Right.
But you still was praying to God.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Because I didn't know a difference. When I was younger, I didn't grow up in church or anything, but my grandmother taught me how to pray. I just knew that there was a God, but I didn't know about the Father, the Son, I didn't know anything else, but there was a God. And she said, Tabby, when you pray like this, dear God. And that's all I remember. So I knew that I could pray and ask God for things.
So you're saying you're in college. It's 1997. At this point, you've been diagnosed depressed for probably 9-10 years.
Yep.
And you are by yourself. And what do you ask God?
God, send me someone who will love me.
And you said that in December. And then what happened in January?
January was my birthday on the 14th, and it was a Wednesday night, and my girlfriends took me out to the club. It's Wednesday night, but we're going out to celebrate your birthday. You are coming. And so I was sitting at the bar ordering a drink, and lo and behold, here comes this curly head guy. Actually, I didn't even look at you. All I know is that I was sitting at the bar and some guy approaches me, and I was trying to ignore you really bad. I did not want to. I had been in an abusive relationship. I didn't want anything to do with anyone. Okay. And so you go, hey, what's your name? And I say Tabitha, but I didn't look at you. I was kind of giving you the cold shoulder so that you would think, oh, let me leave her alone. But I was still really nice. And so I said Tabitha, and you go, hey, I saw you in church on Sunday. And at that moment, I was just like, wow, because I had just started to go to church to try to find God. And, my friends wouldn't go to church with me. So I was amazed that this guy at a bar on my birthday would say that he saw me at church. So then I turned around and looked at you, and I was just like, oh, okay. You were smiling. You had nice teeth. You had these nice eyes and this curly hair still. Yes, you were articulate and just saying nice things. So I gave you my number.
That was your birthday gift from Jesus.
You were my birthday gift.
Okay. But we got to run this playback for a minute, because I know somebody is like, okay, pastors met in a bar. Yes, we have not been saved all the days of our life, and that's why you can trust in what we're saying, because we've been here and we've also been there. You know what I mean?
God will bring you through.
Yeah, and we didn't know anything back then. I mean, I grew up in the church, but I lived as a Christian atheist for about 10 years of my life, meaning I believed in God but lived like he didn't exist. And so I believed in God as well, but I still partied. I still went out. and I was completely unfulfilled. And so I'm out by myself on a Wednesday night because I had an apartment that was like above the club. And I've been watching her for months. And I'm like, man, there's not a lot of people out today, but she's out. It was like 20 people there, maybe 25 people. I was like, tonight's my night. And I was like, I got to get my spit game on. So I just waited for the right time and I just rolled up behind her. And yeah, I said that line, but it wasn't a line. It was the truth. I had been going to a small church on campus and I would come late and then I would leave early and I'd see her up in the front. And she never saw me. And so when I said that, it was like the clouds parted, the sun came out. Dun, 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 dun. This is the one. This is God's gift. And it's an amazing story about how God will use you even in your ignorance.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why you never have to feel guilt and condemnation. If you know that you're in a sinful situation, God wants to bring you out. You just got to take a step towards him. And he's going to take 2 or 3 or 4. He's going to come and get you. You know what I'm saying? And we were in our ignorance, didn't know anything. But church kind of brought us together.
But we were searching for God, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, and so here we are today.
And so you prayed that prayer in December. I show up in January.
Yep.
And so no matter where you are, you wasn't even saved, but God still answered that prayer.
Absolutely.
So do not think that God cannot help bring the right person in your life. But you need to make sure they're the right person. Number 2, my second principle that I would give you is make sure that you are marriage material.
Ooh.
Make sure that you're marriage material. You know, you're believing God and you're doing all this spiritual stuff, but you need to be marriage material.
Ooh, so
can you talk about it?
What is marriage material? Does that mean that, okay, so let's say we have a list and we're believing God that this is a man who's going to love me like Christ loves the church, that he's going to be a good father to our children, that he's going to provide, like he's going to do all of these things. But in order to, you know, if God is going to give you his son, who is so well put together, you know, are you the kind of wife that fits the description for this son, you know, for this man that you want to marry? Yeah, and vice versa, the kind of wife or husband. So yeah, I think that's what being marriage material is. The person that you're believing for, are you, you know, the mate for that person?
I think I see where you're going. Well, there are people who have things on their list and they're nowhere near on that level.
Yeah.
Like you say, I want him to make 6 figures and you make $2 an hour.
Yeah.
Or I want him to be educated and you don't have your GED. Or I want him to be tall, dark, and handsome, but you're sloppy and, you know, you're not taking care of yourself at all.
You don't have yourself together.
You know? So I think what it is that the single season, if that's what it is, a season, is a great opportunity for you to work on you. And what I've seen is that if single people wouldn't be pressed, so to say, and they're just working on themselves, God will bring the right person and you ain't even really have to try.
Absolutely.
It's like they'll just show up and they'll kind of go in line with what you're already doing. But I think the key is to really work on yourself. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. As long as you're putting God first in your life. Yeah. And you're and improving yourself, loving yourself. I mean, even from the physical, I mean, of course you want to bait the hook, right?
Yeah. Like go to the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're single, get yourself in the best shape that you can. Like do your hair, like put on some makeup, you know, like shine your shoes, like clean your car, like have a clean house.
Clothes.
I mean, like I know that that's so basic, but isn't that so true?
Yeah, it's so true.
Like if you're going to bait the hook to where the fish want to jump on the hook.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't be anybody else, but you can be your best self.
And you're not trying to be, you're not trying to be someone that you're not, you know, and be like dressed to the, you know, T all of the time. We're not saying that, but just take care of yourself, educate yourself. If you have dreams like business goals and you want to start a business, start your business.
Buy a house.
Yeah. Buy a house. You don't have to be married to buy a house.
Buy a house.
You know, go be financially secure on your own. And I think that's what makes you wife material or husband material, you know.
I like it.
You know how to take care of yourself. Like, you know, you should know how to grocery shop for yourself, man or woman.
Know how to cook.
You should know how to cook something for yourself, man or woman. Now, you knew how to cook, but it wasn't good.
Well, it was pretty good to me until you showed up and took it to another level. And then I completely turned those responsibilities over to you.
I came to his apartment and he was making, first of all, I was shocked that he was cooking. He had like chicken, green beans, and something else. He had like a full meal. I was shocked, but I looked at it, y'all. It did not look good.
We was eating to survive. But
it touched my heart. And from then on, I did my best to cook for you. Like I would just cook you like whatever.
Years. I hit the jackpot. So. Yeah. But the roles might be reversed in some relationships. Absolutely. And the man does the cooking. But for us, this works very well.
It does.
But I'll give you number 3, go on dates. Go on dates. And I want to unpack that for a moment because if you're believing God for a spouse and you are so spiritual that you don't do the natural.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just seems like some people that are Christians, they don't want to go on dates, or they feel like they only need to go on group dates. I think that can be a little weird sometimes for me. I think group dates can be safe, but at
Yeah.
some time, if I'm interested in you, I want it
Right.
to be me and you over dinner, me and you over coffee. It doesn't have to be ungodly or unholy. We ain't got to stay up at 2 a.m. in my bedroom or nothing
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, you're grown. You're an
You're
adult.
you're an adult, man. But you need to go on dates. I'm not saying be the serial dater. You know how you have some people that's
Yeah.
just dating everybody in the church.
And
They're
you
not
don't
serious
go on dates with people that you don't like. You
Right.
know, if you're not attracted to
or
them, no,
interested
don't
in.
go on the date. If you're
Uh-huh.
not interested, don't go on the date.
Right.
But if you are,
Uh-huh.
that's how you build relationships. You know, that's how you.
You know what I think the problem is that people, when they're dating, they give too much of themselves away.
Mm,
They do. And then they cross boundaries, and then it's like they're all spread all over the place, and they've been with this person that they was dating, and this person that they was dating, and this person they kissed, and this person they was in their bed, and this person they was taking photos with in France, and this person over here. And then it makes dating weird. But if you can date in a holy way, like a God-centered way,
Well,
if you happen to break up or say that this is not the person, it's not bad because your money's not intertwined, your bills are not intertwined,
yeah.
you haven't had sex with one another, you haven't been sucking on each other's face, you know. I'm just saying that if you date with parameters, you can kind of move
It's
yourself.
the word date. It's the word date. It means like, well, we're dating. That's like official. That's like, you know, it's just the word date. But if you can go out to coffee, if you can go to dinner,
That's
if you
what
can
it
go
is?
to the mall, if you can go to a basketball game, football game, if you can go do an activity with them,
So we don't
then
like the
it's
word
okay.
date.
Yeah, it's the word date. The word date means that we're an item, we're a couple, we're trying to do something. And I do, you know, like for me, I mean, I'm married, and it would make me uncomfortable, I would think, you know,
To
like,
go on a date.
yeah, like, you know, no, I'm not dating him. It's just a big deal. It seems like a big deal to go on a date. But if,
I don't
like, I don't
agree.
know. I think
I
if
don't
you just
agree.
go do something,
Like
it's
us
fine.
going on a date and us dating is two different
But
things.
imagine like, okay, imagine you're single, you know, and you know, you're single from your 20s to your 30s, and you go on like 10 dates a year. Like you kind of don't, you get tired of going on dates, you know, like you don't, no, I don't want to go on a date. Well, I went on a date with this person and a date on that with that person. You got 50 people that you went on dates with. It just feels a certain way and sounds a certain way. But if you went out, if you just went to had coffee with someone and figured out that you didn't
So
like
it's the
them,
same
well,
action
that's
with a different
totally
title.
different. Yeah. Yeah.
So just don't call it a date.
Yes, it's not a date. It's a we'll go on a date after coffee or dinner or a few group things where I figure out, oh, I like you enough, and now, yeah, I'll let you take me on a date. That's a date.
That's interesting. So it's just the label and how the label makes you feel.
Absolutely.
So you heard it first here, people. We're not going on
We
dates.
just figured it
We're
out.
just going to
Okay.
coffee. We're going to McDonald's.
Now, me and you, we can go on dates. But
Yeah, we can. Yeah,
I'm
we
saying,
can do a lot of stuff.
if I were single, I probably wouldn't be going on dates.
But you would go to coffee.
I would go to coffee.
Would you go to a movie?
I would probably go to a movie.
But it's just not a date.
Yeah, it's not a date. Yeah, I'll go check a movie out with you.
That's interesting. All right. Well, number 4, the fourth thing that we would tell you to do if you're believing God for a spouse would be don't be pressed. Come on. I need to say that
Please,
again.
man and woman.
Don't be pressed. Can you talk about it?
Yes. Now I have girlfriends and have seen girlfriends and, you know, who are pressed and have been pressed.
Yeah.
And I think the number one turnoff for a man is probably a woman who's pressed, where he might like you and give you the time of day, but he might not be
I agree.
serious about you.
I
You know
agree.
what I mean? Where if he likes you, I think, you know, in my experiences, and you can say this, like the man likes the chase. Like he
We like
doesn't
to
want
pursue.
you, like, you know, like, not that a woman can't pursue and give little flirty hints and things like that to let you know, like, hey, I like you.
Yeah.
But pressed and pursuing is something totally like, you know what I mean?
I know what
It's a
you mean.
little different.
Yeah.
But even with guys, I'll say this, like, you know, when I was single, I like didn't like a guy who would just be, I like when a guy was pressed, immediate turn off.
Yeah.
Immediate. There's a difference between like you approaching me and being secure and confident and all of that, and, you know, asking me out on a date and all of that, than you just being pressed, immediate turn off.
And and when you say pressed, give me some behavioral examples of what that would be like for you. A guy would do what? Call you every day or be waiting for you? Like, what do you mean pressed?
I think it would be more like, yeah, like, you know, this, you know, like you're talking to my friends, or you're going around and having your friends approach me and you didn't come to me yourself. Like, please, I'm a grown up here.
Okay, is that a turn off for ladies that a guy would have like one of your friends approach you on his behalf?
It was, I mean, I can't speak for every woman, but for me, like, I'm a grown woman. You better be a grown man. And like, I don't want to play games.
Oh, wow. So you would
Maybe
want,
high school. Yeah.
you would want your man just to, or who was interested to simply come up and say, hey, can I have your number? Or, hey, I'm interested. You wouldn't want him to do the work around it all.
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
That's interesting. Do you know why?
I think because so it came up in the conversation of people being pressed. To me, it was more like, I don't know, it just seemed a little childish to me.
But maybe not confident enough?
Yeah, not confident. Yeah, just like, because, what if I don't like you or your friend? You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it. I'm annoyed by your friend coming, breaking up me and my group of girls, interrupting my time and what I'm doing and things like that. So if you're going to, if you're serious about me or whatever, just come up and say, and it doesn't have to be this big formal, hi, I'm such and such and I like you and I want to date you. Will you give me my number? Just like, hey, want to introduce myself? I'm such and such. What's your name? I mean, I don't know, but it's like real casual.
Okay. I don't know how I got in there. It was a miracle. You had a force field of women all around.
It was God. I'm saying just because I was really.
But anyway, back to the don't be pressed. I think the don't be pressed is more of an attitude, probably. It's more of a posture and a disposition. It's a thirst, and you can feel it. I don't even know if it's just behavioral or it's just like, if this works out, did he call me? Did she call me? Is he doing this? And it's almost like I see people on social media, and you can tell that they're kind of pressed.
Well, it's
and
almost
I don't know
like
exactly what it is. Maybe in the comments, people can share some examples of what it
I
means to
have
be
one
pressed.
example. It's like when you don't have your own life, like you want to know what I'm doing for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner, and then after that, and every day of the week, and it's like, okay, where's your friends?
You want to claim me too fast, like take pictures together and just kind of claim it too fast. And you don't seem confident, like, if this works out, cool. If it's not, I'm gonna be good. Either way.
And
not acting with an attitude, but just like have confidence in who you are with God, like not pressed.
like I said, yes, I'd go to coffee with you, but now why is everybody coming up to me talking about, oh, so you going to do coffee with such and such? No, that's press. Okay, that's just too much.
And I also think that people who get involved in premarital sex, many times it's because they're pressed, and they're doing that because they want to do everything they can to keep the person, and they're taking matters into their own hands instead of trusting God to do it in a holy way. And so they're giving up something that should be safe for the marriage bed because they're so pressed to take the relationship to another place to hopefully keep them. I've heard stories of people either impregnating someone or wanting to be impregnated just so that they could keep a relationship. Now that's pressed. That's crazy.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah. I got to move on though. Number 5, this is the 5th one we'll give you, and it will be keep it holy. And I think we can end with that one because if you are believing God for a spouse, you have to make a commitment here, not externally, but internally, that my body's for the Lord and the Lord is for my body.
Yeah.
And I am committed to holiness. And holiness isn't like long dress and like, this cross your T's and dot your I's and lip. No, it's just saying what God's word says. I submit my life to his word. And that's what holiness is. And so Jesus was the personification of holiness. And I think it's so important that we make a commitment, especially those who are single, that I'm going to live a holy life. I don't care what man or woman God puts in my life. There are certain standards that I have that I will not break as unto the Lord.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. And I think, especially for, the woman and the man, just to keep yourself holy, there's just standards that you can set for yourself.
Yeah.
I've always seen, in my experiences that when typically for me, the experience is the woman. And in some cases, it has been the man where it has been just, pressed and pressed and pressed. And finally, they end up having sex and, just breaking all the barriers and guidelines and everything. And then they break up and they're not together anyway. And, then it's just another thing that you have to overcome and move on.
It's this other thing.
But I don't know. I don't know. What were we talking about?
We're talking about believing God for a spouse, keeping it holy, having parameters, having standards,
Yeah, those standards is what I was thinking about. When you have standards, I think those standards are attractive. And we go back to talking about the list that we want and the qualities that we want in a man or a woman. It's when you have standards, man, that speaks so much of your character and who you are. And if I come across a person who, let's say you are, now we have standards or we have convictions too. Some things that we do in our lives that are different, like you don't watch rated R movies for the most part. And so I know there are some movies that I can watch because I don't have the same convictions that you do. You know what I mean? Like I can watch a movie. It doesn't do anything for me to see, like, I don't know, a
So
woman.
you think.
Yeah. So I think. And I don't watch it, but I'm saying it's not, I don't have the same convictions as you do.
Right.
But I respect that about you, that you have these standards.
Yes, sir.
That you're not going to cross this line because you know yourself so well and you love God that much and you want and desire to keep your life holy. Therefore, you have set these standards. I respect that.
Yeah.
And so I think when we have standards as far as all levels of holiness, not just sex, but what we watch, like if you're asking me to go to a movie, but it's like some crazy, horror film or like some movie, I'm like, where are your standards? You know, if you do you keep your word? You're asking me to meet you at 8:00, but you're not showing up till 9. Like, where are your standards here? So I think that those standards, you can tell a tree by its fruit. They're attractive. I think when you keep your word and when you keep your standards and you set up parameters and you keep them, I think that holy lifestyle is something. If you're believing for a spouse who loves God and will love you, you want to keep those standards.
Yeah, I think the list could go on of things that we do to believe God. I think that there's a lot of people who just don't know how to believe God any longer. They don't know how to get a scripture and to stand on it, how to meditate on the promises of God, how to thank God, believe you receive, and thank God as if it's already happened.
Yeah.
To act like the joy of the Lord, but not to have the patience that it takes to wait for it, to not be pressed, to not get online, to not try to manufacture something, to not that getting online is a problem, but I'm saying pressed online, like online everywhere, every website, just trying to find somebody. I think that when we really know how to believe God for a spouse, it trickles over into every area. How do you believe God for a bill to be paid?
Right.
How do you believe God for somebody in your family that's not saved? How do you believe it's the same thing, but just now applying it to a spouse? And the thing about a spouse is that you can't control another person's will. And so you have to believe that God's going to bring that person
Absolutely.
in. So we just hope that these few nuggets will actually just give you some tools in your toolbox of how to have joy and peace as you wait.
Absolutely.
Also to know that you don't have to be married to be fulfilled. There are a lot of single people that are single and successful, and there's a lot of married people that are married and miserable. So you do not have to be married to be who God's called you to be. But if you desire to be married, I want you to know that God wants to give you the desires of your heart, but wait on the Lord. And again, I say, wait. All right. Man, I've had a good time with you guys today. Hope you enjoyed another segment of Doing Life with Ken and Tabitha. It is our desire to bring you life-changing, real, raw content. Every Tuesday and Thursday, there will be a new show that is released. Make sure you subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit the button above if you're a part of our podcast. There's a whole bunch of information about how you can connect with us in the show notes. Yep. Of course, we are on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and everywhere that you can find some kind of medium. We hope to be right there. And we hope to see you again next time with Doing Life with Ken and Tabitha. We'll see you soon. Peace.